Welcome to Global Prosperity Academy, our hour of power with our ultimate leadership community. I am Michael, and I am so grateful to wake up this morning in my right mind, to have my ability to think, to share, to love, and this amazing family that I call my family, because I want to be selfish and possessive about you guys. I love you.
Grand Rising Michael, my name is Joy, and I'm here in California. Very grateful to have risen in my right mind with the use of my limbs, and I am so happy about this community. And I love you guys, and I'm good to see you.
Grand Rising, Joy. My name is Alfie, and I'm here in cloudy, well, no, it's a little bit sunny, California. And I'm very grateful to be here and see all of your beautiful faces. And we are going to have a great day. Thank you.
Awesome. Grand Rising, Alfie. This is Shanice. Hello, everybody. I am so blessed and grateful to be here and to enjoy this journey with each and every one of you.
Grand Rising, Shani. This is Alexi from Los Angeles, California. It's a beautiful morning as always, and I'm truly grateful for being able to get to live the life of get to not have to. And that's a beautiful feeling. And I'm also truly grateful for this amazing and beautiful community.
Grand Rising, Alexi. This is Max from California as well. And I'm grateful for my beautiful family and my ability to be conscious of who I am and be conscious of my family and be supported by like-minded people like GPA, and being grateful for the opportunity to be around you guys. Thank you.
Well, thank all of you. And, we start each day with gratitude. What a way to wake up, huh? To be grateful for what most people take for granted, and to be aware. I love what Max said about being conscious. A lot of people aren't conscious of the fact that they're in the matrix, or they're living a life that was given to them, not by their design. Today, we have our wins of the month. And some of us have a lot of wins. So unmute yourself and start sharing. I'll start with mine. My win of the month was the conscious realization of how fortunate I am to have an amazing family, and my family here, friends, close friends. There are times where things will happen that we don't anticipate. And I learned this last few days that sometimes the person that will beat us up the most, that will be the most critical toward ourselves, is ourselves. Sometimes we tend to make mistakes, or we miss the mark. They say that the word sin means missing the mark. And all of us are a work in progress. Well, something happened to me that was a big mistake that I made that had negative repercussions, and I went straight into the gap. And I'm like, ooh, wait a minute now. I just beat myself up, and my daughter came by, and she's just the love of my life. And it was amazing that the daughter now is opening the light to the father, and we communed with each other. And it was just a beautiful thing, to where I could realize that being in the gap is okay. Just don't stay in it. It's like the fourth agreement. Always do your best, which will change from day to day, from moment to moment. So for those of you out there, sometimes you'll have the kind of day that you are excited about, but something can happen. That's called life. And when it does, do we react like I did? Because I went down. I was beating myself up like Mike Tyson, and hard punches. And I was also jabbing myself like Muhammad Ali, because I felt really bad that I had made a mistake that I had all the time in the world to prevent. So again, my win is that I learned that the gain in the gap, some of the books that we read, the movies, the guest speakers, they'll come up when you need them. And for those of you that are going through any type of challenges, that's just what they are. They're really there as a blessing, because they make you stronger. There's a saying that if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And so I would like for you guys to unmute yourselves. And if you have any wins of the month, and also another win that I had was our speaker last week. She was truly a blessing and amazing. And thank you, Alessi, for the speakers that you bring in sometime at 11:59. It's not easy to coordinate speakers as it is a book or a movie. And I'm just very grateful that I have this community to support, and that my daughter has joined this community. And you know, sometimes it's about timing with people. So if you have any challenges, they're there for you to grow and learn. But again, remember, in the gap of the challenge, there's always the gain. And the gain I found that day was my daughter coming there with her loving support. It was just amazing. Mr. Alexi raised his hand. Now, you guys, you can do it this way, or you use technology. Go ahead, Alexi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. One of the wins of the month that I was really thinking about, the biggest one this month is really remembering, excuse me, really remembering the power of momentum in my life. So often when I have big goals or big dreams, I sometimes get caught up in the destination versus the journey. And I was really realizing that if I really truly am committed to a goal and a dream, even if it takes a little bit longer, it doesn't matter because I get to live in the process of achieving that dream. Like one of the things that I've been working on in my life is, you know, starting a YouTube channel for, you know, my company and just for myself. And, you know, when you think about it, or I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, I need to get all these views. I need to get, you know, everything started. And it's like, no, I just need to take one step forward and then another one and then another one, because a friend of mine, Myron Goldman, just recently did a video on YouTube actually talking about that. He says, listen, if you're going to do something, commit to it. And his version of committing to it is giving it 10 years without expecting anything in return. Will that happen? That, excuse me, that he's not going to get anything in return in those 10 years? Probably not. But the fact is, he's committing to the process, not just a destination. And I was really thinking about that in how can I adjust it into my life? Where am I going to take maybe half a step back so that I can create that momentum? You know, to have big dreams, but to start with small steps. Because I think that's the key and the secret to creating momentum in your life. And just like we've gone through, you know, gaining the gap, really, really focusing on the gain each and every step, even if it's a half a step. Because before you know it, you create that momentum. You create what I call a success reel, right? Because so many times in my life when something went wrong, my mind would go all the way to all the things I've done wrong. And now I'm in a hole where now, whenever something goes right, even partially, I focus on that. And that gives me just enough energy, just enough momentum to take that next step. And before I know it, I might be first crawling, but then I'm walking. And before I know it, I feel like I'm running towards my dreams and my goals. So that's what I wanted to share as my win of the month.
Well, I want to piggyback on that, but Shanine has her hand up. A nice
Hi.
hand too.
Oh, thank you so much. So the win of the month, it's interesting you guys are talking about consciousness, because I love our group because we vibrate similarly, right? And one of the things is I've become extremely conscious of where I am, where I'm not. I had a little story of my main computer shut down. I didn't have access to it, and I finally got access to it, and it was from March. So everything, that was a portal that I did all of everything through, and I didn't have access, and was the few fixes I could find were out of my reach. So in all of that, it's brought me to the point of the collection of things that we've done over the years, right? As being an entrepreneur or business outings or the things that we were connected to. And my win was really getting present to, do I need to do that anymore, right? So as all of you have been through this pandemic, things have changed for many of us. Businesses have closed, which I'm a part of, right? Monies that used to flow haven't been. And really looking at all, if you're a multitasker and you're always doing your hustle, if you will, as I was, I still have those pieces that I feel like I had an X out, not just in survival mode, but a timeout to really start then now looking at, as I build and put those pieces back together, what am I done with? What am I going to reinvest in? Right. So Michael, you and I were talking this morning and setting up something next week for that talk to like really see what's so and then move forward. So to me, it is a new consciousness of that. And Alexi, you just pointed something out about your momentum and wanting to get into, you know, a podcast or whatnot, right? A YouTube channel. I have a lot of fires out there, but I've come to the realization that I don't need to do that. And we talked about the matrix. Coming out of the matrix, well, what does that look like? Are we with the fad and the new way of doing business? Or, you know, like all of that stuff is now in my consciousness that I don't want to do all of that. I don't have to do all of that, but I can start anew and pick each little thing that I want to, because now I've had a timeout to look at how I was kind of spinning my own wheels. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that is a massive reality check win for me. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing, Shanine. Yeah, getting together one-on-one with people. I know we have this technology, but they say that 80% of communication is nonverbal. So when we're able to, you know, because of geographic location, meet with each other, it's such a pleasure. I want to say what Alexi was saying. Alexi, you mentioned 10 years. Most people in America, you know, the story of the bamboo, the Asian bamboo. I think you got to plant it and cultivate it for like 3 years, and you can't dig it up. If you expose the air, it'll die. Most people don't have that type of mentality nowadays. They want instant coffee, instant success, fast food, everything is fast. How is it that you're able, and I understand what you mean by the results, the destination, that's the goal. But when things slow down to where you feel like you want to be on a bullet train, but you're on this little train that's moving so slow you can't even feel it, how do you muster up the techniques to enjoy the journey? Because they say it's all about the journey. You know, the destination is going to come, but what do you do when things slow down or when bad things happen, or, you know, you get these landmines when Murphy's Law comes at your door, doesn't ring the doorbell, but just knocks the door down. How is it that we don't go into that gap?
You know, Michael, that's a perfect lead in what I wanted to actually add to the conversation when Shanine was sharing. And one of the things that I've been really mindful about and excuse me, practicing in my own life recently is getting down to the core, right? Really understanding what's important in my life and what's secondary. And the way I do that is, one, what actually brings me joy, what makes me happy, and what can I truly be grateful for, right? You know, there's that whole concept when it comes to business as minimal viable product. We've talked about the other concept of don't get good, get done, because once you're done, you can make it better, right? You can't make something better if it's not done. I guess you could, but you know, it's not present in the world. It's not alive in the world, right? So what I wanted to share with Shanine, what was coming up is, you know, business can be very simple if we allow it to be just that, right? I'm going to be the first one to, you know, to tell myself and say, there's been many times where I've overcomplicated things, and just because I didn't put in the commitment, the work that needed for a certain cause or a certain strength to be created, I moved on to the next shiny thing. And before I knew it, I had literally lists of things that I was doing that kept me busy, but not moving forward, but not being productive. And so now I'm thinking about the idea of what is the minimum viable action, right? If you because I've gone through depression, right? When you're in that low state, you can't think about everything, right? It brings me back to the other book of The One Thing by Gary Keller, it's like, what is that one thing that you can do and it can help you no matter what, right? And with Shanine, like I would invite you to consider, it's like, okay, take a moment, write down all the things that you're doing, right, on a piece of paper, and then take a moment and go through them and prioritize them. It's like, if I didn't do this, this, and this, like for example, for me, I get to earn starting a YouTube channel, because if I don't do my morning rituals and my in-person reach outs with my warm audience, the YouTube channel is worthless, right? It's that next step that I get to earn, right? Just like reps in the gym, right? Once I'm able to, do some push-ups, maybe then I can do some pull-ups if I still have the energy, the capacity. And so, like, what is that one thing that you can do on a daily basis? Maybe it's connecting with one person a day, but it's the consistency that's key. Right, I've thought about this, right? If you just connect genuinely with one person a day and add value to them, by the end of the month, your month is going to be different, right? Because whether somebody does something with you or steps a step forward towards you just because you paid it forward to them, you'll be in a different mindset and step, because you've just given to 30 people, and some of them will give back. And if they don't, that's okay. You continue giving, right, to the strategic relationships first, right, the deserving relationships. And then when you've added enough value, not enough value, when you've taken care of your deserving relationships, now you find the relationship that you're choosing to pay forward regardlessly from your heart. So that's what I wanted to share, and I would love to hear others people's thoughts on that.
I'm gonna let Joy go first, but brother, thank you for that, especially about writing it down. And not on 27 Post-it notes. My daughter taught me that. I'm trying to go paperless. When you get so many papers, you write stuff down and it's like, okay, I've got 600 pieces of paper, different sizes and shapes, and there has to be a system. But I want to discuss that, because that's very important, being in order, being organized. But Joy had her hand up first. Miss Joy.
No, you can continue, because it's directly correlated to what he said. And I like to keep that flow.
When I talk to Shanine's busy. I mean, we'll all have our plates full, but this woman is busy all the time, and she's like this. And by writing it down, you get to see it all in one place. You can move things around and prioritize it and say what's really important. But you said something about deserving. That was something that has taken me decades to learn. I know it consciously, but we have a saying, you work with the deserving, not just the needy. And I think Joy will piggyback on this, to where we want to help people. We want to help people. And sometimes we have certain talents and skills that we can monetize, that people pay money for. And we say, you know what, this person is good. They need it. Let me do this for this person. Let me do it for that person. But there's a saying, we want to be a light to the world, be able to pay your own light bill. And if you're always giving and giving to needy people, and it's, I'm not saying it's wrong, but there are some people that are just plain takers. They're givers and takers. And if you're a giver and you hook up to 6 or 7 takers, you look up and say, wait a minute, I got a lot to give, but I got to take care of me. It's like being on that airplane. I've learned so much from you guys, so much from this community, that I realize a lot of things I know, but it's one thing to know the path. It's another thing to walk the path. And I just realized through my daughter and some of you, some of us are really good at helping others. We're good at it, but we have to learn how to help ourselves. When you're on that airplane and it gets to be that turbulence and that mask comes down, you got to put yours on first, because you might be next to your wife with a newborn baby and your mama, and you love them more than life itself. But if you don't put your mask on, you can't help them. So that's one of the lessons. And when he said the deserving, work with them first. Work with the deserving first, because we want to pay it forward. We want to help the needy. But a lot of time people are needy because of their own mindset. They're there. And one thing I learned the hard way, you can't change people. We can open up possibilities. We can show them the way. We can be a light. And I think the light that I feel with you guys is this. Most of you here are doing the work. And when you do the work, your light shines. And Gandhi said, when you light the path of others, you automatically light your own path. But we have to be aware that while we're going on this journey, and I think Alexi alluded to it, have fun. You know, sometimes we get into the work thing, and this man works. I've seen him. He's up at 5 o'clock, sometime till midnight. I do the same thing. But like I said, her mama named her right, Joy. You got to find some things. And today is the day that you want to get out of that box that you call your home, your apartment, that room, and go out into the world. We were talking today about getting barefooted. Joy always talks about being grounded. We're not designed to wear shoes all the time, to walk on concrete. But as you get grounded, be careful of the grass you walk on. There's something in there for you guys. Okay, Joy.
I'm going to let Alexi go because he had his hand up before you even finished. So go ahead. It's like you're continuing the conversation.
Wait a minute. Let me put my hand down because sometimes these hands just stay
You
up.
know, Michael, it's kind of funny. Great minds think alike. You know, when you started talking, the concept came, you know, is that if you're trying to light up the world, you do have to pay your own bill first. And I think that's where I've been working a lot on myself, that self-care first, right? Serving yourself first.
Mm.
And one of the concepts that actually I was reminded, I was listening to another book, and I've talked about this concept for years, but it's almost like I forgot, you know, talk about amnesia. And one of the concepts that I came up with, I think, is that there's a difference between serving people from selfishness versus self-full. Selfish, putting yourself only. Self-full is putting yourself first and then giving from abundance. Taking care of yourself first and then expanding that circle, right? If you are the dot, right, you take care of the dot first, then you take care of that first ring, that first circle. Who are those deserving people in your life that are vital, right? It might be one or two, and it shouldn't be more probably than one or two. Then, you know, you go to your maybe, you know, best friends, then some friends, and maybe only then associates. But you have to have all that energy, and you have to take care of, you know, each step first before you get to earn the right to take that next step. Because if you are doing it the other way around, out of priority, one of the things that I have found with myself, I run out of steam. There's, you know, we have finite energy, right, in our body. Yes, we are infinite, but, you know, each day we get energy for that day. And if, you know, if my energy at 70%, that first 20-30% I'm going to spend on me. You know, that next, you know, 30% I'm going to spend on people that are part of my chosen family, right? Like yourself, Miss Alma, and this community. And then I'm going to start reaching to others that are not part of my inner circles to add value to them. And then if they're all taken care of, then I'll reach out to strangers. So just wanted to do that.
Yeah, next is Joy, then Alma. You got me stuttering. I see a book called like the Target of Life. I think that's where that chain got. It's like a target. And I like that analogy. Miss Joy.
Okay, so you guys had such a great flow. I didn't want to interrupt, you know, because we were talking about our wins and discoveries in this month. And, you know, you talked about how sometimes it takes 10 years to develop what you're going. And, you know, Muhammad and I have created these great businesses, and, you know, we didn't know why they were being created at the time. And we knew that they were designed to help people. But we didn't know why, because guess what? We had these businesses and we weren't making any money. We were just creating. So what we did was we created these businesses, and from the production and engineering background that I have, you start with the production calendar and you work backwards. So what you do is you start with what you want to see at the end of all this work of your idea. What is the end result? What do I want to see? And then you work backwards. And so then you create these lists and these structures, and you know how you want to do it. But guess what? Life doesn't necessarily work the way you've structured it. And when I used to get into this mode or in this zone and things aren't progressing and I feel like I hit a brick wall, then I beat myself up. Why are we not progressing? What's going on? What did I do wrong? You start assessing, but what I've learned in that is to get out of my own way, because from all that we've learned, the universe don't work that way. It doesn't work according to our list sometimes. Sometimes what you have in 1, 2, 3, number 6 might come first. And you're like, oh, shoot. Well, let me just jot that in. So what I'm saying is that when these curveballs come, we have to get out of our way and go with the flow. Because we can fill in number 6, jump back to number 3 where we were, fill it in. Next thing you know, you've completed this section of your list of priorities, but they didn't go in order. So I learned basically to get out of my own way. Because I used to like, okay, this would happen. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm on number 3, and I want that to be completed before I go to number 4. But see, that's not how life works. And we're different. We are taking people from a slave mentality, and we're moving them into free-flowing, freedom-thinking entrepreneurs. So you have to be flexible. Of course, write down your goals and what you need to be accomplished, but be flexible in the way that they present themselves and show up, so that you can then feel fulfilled and don't beat yourself up when things don't happen the way you think they should. So again, I'm doing something I never thought I would be doing while I make ends meet, right? But there's so much fulfillment in this, and things are happening as a result. One thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing when they are in alignment with you. Because like we're saying, you're first, but you're first in a lot of ways, not just how you treat yourself and what you do for yourself. You're first in the way things might show up. Accept it, move on with it, and then sharing it is the most important thing. How do you show somebody else how to be successful in a lot of ways, successful in having a goal, successful in having a dream, successful in that you be able to prioritize it, successful in how things show? All of these are successes. So I'm just enjoying the ride right now. I have a new perspective. It's all beautiful. I'm enjoying the journey, writing down the journey so that I can share the journey, because again, they need us. We have that new mindset about things because we're evolving. Everybody's learning new things. People are discovering old things aren't working anymore. What do we do next? Well, that's where you go inward. That's where things show up for you. And then they'll start coming to you. That's where the exterior comes into play. Things start showing up, because you've given that energy to it, Anyway, I always go there, and I know, but it's very important because we are electromagnetic beings, and that plays a part in how things show up in our lives. So for me, getting out of my own way has been it.
Thank you for sharing that, Joy. Boy, I tell you, how many people are in their own way and don't know it? That's the problem. It's not what you don't know that can hurt you. It's what you don't know that you don't know. And I tell you something, when you say, I can be your own worst enemy. Miss Alma is next, and then Shanine. Alma, please bless us.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you, Joy. That was amazing. You're so true, exactly what Joy was saying. And I just want to elaborate on that. What I was getting is also be patient with yourself. I noticed that I wanted certain things and I'm just not coming to be. The more that I, like Joy says, let go and quit chasing it, because when we chase, we actually repel. And we just need to be patient and just enjoy the process. The more that I'm enjoying the process and letting things go, things are starting to move. And now I'm understanding why things didn't happen the way I wanted them to happen and when I wanted them to happen, because it's bigger than us. There's a lot more that we have to see before we can receive what we've been asking for. An example, my daughter just left after 3.5 years of not seeing her. She was here for the month of August, and she just left yesterday with her husband back to Chile. It was hard, but it was like she needed to come to as a closure for all like closing out with the family, everything, and she's moving on, to let her know. And it was because I'm there, it gave her the opportunity to see that she's in the right place where she's at. So there's no regrets, there's no, things going on, and she's loved. And I know if I hadn't been there with my family, it wouldn't have been closure. And I think things now, I'm enjoying the process. And what I'm getting is, be patient with yourself, and be kind to yourself, and enjoy yourself. And now start to stand back and say, hey, what am I learning from this? And it's actually to love yourself. That's the main thing is to love yourself. And Alexi and Jennifer and Michael just being there for me to process through my daughter leaving, and actually getting closer to my other daughter, which I've been having issues. And it's just the transformation with the people that I have that are around me with love has been so much easier for me to actually be patient with myself. And Alexi is a big one to calm me down when I get excited. So if you ever need something, you could reach out to, and Michael and Jennifer, they bring me back down when I get heightened to really see. And I'm like, oh yes, I know where I'm supposed to be, right where I'm at, and I'm going to, and also it helps you. So when you do receive what you've been asking for, that you not just appreciate it, but you're ready for it to actually maintain it and to keep it, not to lose it. And that's the biggest important, that you understand the whole process of where you went. Sometimes when we get, like, let's say you win the lottery, you get $15 million or whatever all at once, but you didn't do the work to get it, well, you're going to lose it. But when you have to achieve and do that work to get it and then get that big prize, you'll understand how to maintain it instead of losing it. And that's the patience, and being patient is with yourself, to love yourself. And it's kindness to yourself. That I've noticed that when we all get the negative thoughts that come in, like Joy says, is to process, understand, and say, hey, no, I know where I'm going. It's just a moment, and I release it. I give it love. The more that I give any negative thought love, I'm able to come out of it. So it's trusting yourself. It's an internal compass, right? Going within, and you will follow your compass. You're no longer going out. Follow your compass. So I give you all that love, you guys, and we're here to help each other. Thank you. Thank you, you guys.
Man. Thank you, Alma. And it was such a joy, and I speak for all of us, meeting your amazing daughter. When they say the fruit don't fall far from the tree, she's ripe, she's very intelligent, but she's loving. She has empathy, and because of that law of attraction, like Joy talks about, we get what we may not get what we want, but we get who and what we are. Yes. And she attracted the most amazing, spiritual, loving man. And, it's nice to have someone to share with, and they have that very unique bond at marriage. And I think part of it, I'm just speaking from what I can see outside looking in, is because of the relationship that you two had and grew. And it wasn't all roses and stuff, but it was always open honesty, and her ability to love. It just gives me chills being in her presence. And when he came into the room, you could just see it and feel it. So thank you for sharing part of your family with us. And I know Miss Shanine is next. And talk about family. She has two men, little men that are growing into men in this day and age. And what a challenge it is. What a challenge it is being a parent nowadays. And some of us are grandparents. Some of us are great-grandparents. Now, my mama's great, but we won't go there. Miss Shanine. Double great.
Yeah, very interesting, from raising the first set of boys, right, that are in their 30s, and now these guys in their teens, and the landscape. It is so vastly different. Homeschooling, all of the, what's out there in the media, just wild. Okay, so I wanted to kind of jump back. Alexi, something that you said, and I'm wondering if there's a book, I'm assuming there is, but you made a comment about don't get good, get it done. So I've got two things of thought here. So one is that, is there a book with that title? Alexi, can you hear me?
Wait.
There isn't yet.
Yeah, muted.
Probably should be created. It's actually a concept that came as a result of my life experience and mentorship, where literally there was a couple of things that I was working on, a couple of projects, and a mentor of mine said, quit trying to get it perfect, just get it done, right? And the thing that really landed that concept for myself, and it still like brings me to my tears if I really allow myself to go there. My mentor said this: how many people are suffering while you're trying to get it perfect? And that really got me, right? Because a lot of times our aha moments, our wins, our perspective of life is already good enough and great enough to make a difference in somebody else's life. It's our ego on well, for me, I'm going to speak about myself. It was my ego, my self of perfection that stopped me from creating the impact in that moment. Yes, it might have not been the impact that I've always dreamed about, but it would have made a difference. Because another mentor of mine said, it's great that you have ideas and thoughts and heart to help 1 million people. But she asked me a simple question: how many are you helping now? I said, nobody. She's like, you might want to start with one. Right. So that's where that concept really came from. Don't get good, get done. Because I grew up with mindset of perfection. And so being able to shift from a mind of perfection, into a mind of excellence and into the mind of the gain, it really makes all the difference. One of the things that I've been studying for a lifetime is the power of momentum. And here's the thing that I've realized around it. The truth is, you are always in momentum, because if you're alive, you're moving. The question is the momentum positive and adding value to your life, to your dreams, and to where you're going? Or is it negative? Is it slowing you down, or maybe even stopping you? I've been in a place where I was in really negative momentum. And the first step, the truth of it is realizing, what momentum are you in? Are you in the positive or in the negative? If you're in the negative, you need to realize that and then stop the negative momentum. Reverse it to where you're at least in the middle, right? Where you're not negative, you're neutral. And then start building slowly, the great momentum that will help you, right? It's like one of the other quotes that I heard, I loved, is that before you can start winning, you got to stop losing. Right. And that's where that concept of prioritization, which you have going already, is so important, is that figure out what's not working for you or not creating the return that is worth the investment of your time. Because that is the greatest asset. Right. Let's say if you have 10 things on the list, find out what is that one thing that creates the biggest difference. And just like we have in our training, do more of that. It's not a matter of doing more of everything, it's doing more of the thing that makes all the difference until you earn the right to do that next thing. And so hopefully that helps.
Right. Thank you. And it does, but it is, I think we're tapping into some key aspect here. And I can relate it to GPA as a whole when it started out, or something that Michael made reference today. How I learned how Michael sees me, right? Like what he's kind of identified as a little genius and this detailed stuff. And I was telling him, oh my God, that's not me at all. Like, I mean, yes, I can do it, but here's the trick to that. So I have, because of my background, and my mom was very big on being well-rounded, right? So I have had exposure to all, not all necessarily, but all sides of the cup versus just one thing, right? If you had a box of different things that you could do, I've been in and had businesses in or developed skill sets in each different perspective, point of view, right? So when I can see something, I like to look at the big picture because of my experience and because it's so varied. I can see why certain things need to be in place. Where somebody who hasn't had that perspective, they're just going kind of in the straight line and they get hung up or have to step back because they didn't know to put a particular thing in place. Does that make sense? Okay. That being said, I have seen and used an example, and it was something about before I got into flipping homes. Long before that, there were people. Oh, well, let me go back. So I have ingrained in my head, you have one chance to make a great first impression.
Mm.
So I don't know that that aligns with the perfectionism.
Mhm.
But if you only have one chance, and I know this was drilled in high school, right? That go without that proper, practice or all the work that goes into that performance. If you come off half, well, it's a gun analogy. Let me not use that word. It upsets me. If you come across that you don't know what you're doing or you don't have it set at some kind of standard level, you've lost your credibility. And you can't really, what it would take to then gain it because you haven't done your homework, if you will, right? So that's ingrained in my head, but I do. Oh, I hear somebody in the background. I'm sorry. Is somebody talking?
I just muted Greg. And
Oh, okay.
what we're discussing is really good for after the call, but go ahead and finish, please.
Okay. So in that, as you were saying, Alexi, you kind of went and said, and I know there's a couple of things, but they all tie together. So I can remember going into a home that somebody refurbished and did, and I kept thinking, like, how were they able to get this home and fix it up? Because what they did, I didn't think was so great, but as many ideas as I had would have made it amazing, right? But they were, like you said, they were actually already doing something. And so, but those are literally in conflict with each other. And so what I'm learning, breakthrough moment again, is here's another layer of the wiring in my head that's in conflict. And that literally, you just spoke to that. The other point that I was trying to make, and we were talking about when you're so great at giving to everybody else, as women, culturally, we are to be of service first. It's not you're doing you. And I do understand not being selfish, and I love how the term I've used too, self-full, right? That is still inclusive to others, but I'm still present to that in the teachings that I'm doing with my sons, because they'll wake up and they'll just go into, and many of us, right? We go straight to our tablets. We're doing all this stuff without doing our own center work. Make sense? So as I'm teaching them, what does it mean to think of yourself? Well, they're going, well, being on the video games is me thinking of myself. But it's not that preparation for their day, right? The support of our day. And if we're not teaching our children, like many of us were not taught how to do that for ourselves, right? So it's this cycle. And I have a group of clients that I speak to, and it, especially with the women, we get hung up there so much. And to be able to really see that and identify you're not being selfless. I love the fact that you said, giving from abundance, because in my world, in my head, I can give and help people and it is very fulfilling. But like you said, at the end of the day or the month or whatever, I'm exhausted because I haven't been fed. Right? And if it's our job or in relations, I hear that a lot. People are trying to feed each other and it's not that equally yoked. But there is a I don't know what you call it, a self-fulfilling responsibility that we have to ourselves, to center ourselves. We have to come to the table at a certain level. And that's like a missing link. So I just see that little clink. So that's a win we can say right now, because I see that. Now I got to iron it out. But and the other one I saw before, but I just didn't understand how to reattach it. I'm still not sure that I do. You know, the mindset that you have, but that is in opposition. That's the bottom line. It's in opposition. So I'm excited that we're going to dig a little deeper there. So thank you for your shares, guys. I appreciate it.
Wow. I wanted to comment on that, but Alexi has his hand up first, and I want to comment on that book that he's going to write called Get Her Done. That's good. Get Her Done. Go ahead, Alexi.
I love that, Michael, and I'm going to be short and concise. One of the things that Janine was sharing about like a real estate project, and one of the biggest wins that I have realized in my life, and I'm guilty of it, that's how I learned it, is, you know, there's a difference between a spectator and playing the game or being in the game. But a lot of times I'm going to, you know, tell myself I've been a great spectator, thinking of every way that it could have been done better. And yet there's elements that I wasn't doing, whether in my life or my business, that would have just got it done and got me in the game first. So I think that's important. And a quick note, when it comes to creating positive momentum, the greatest hack of them all is the power of mastermind. Because one of the things I realized, no matter how smart you are, the power, you know, who, not how, is the greatest power, because you can take 10 years to write the ultimate book on whether it's parenting, business, you fill in the blank. And the truth is, the second it's connected with the audience, they'll find 100 things that could have made that book better. And it's not that it doesn't mean that you're not smarter and you're not great, but it's just that's the next level of that knowledge, the you know, what I call the connected consciousness. And so now one of the things I recommend to my clients, first and foremost, get the first draft done, whatever you're doing. What is the minimum viable product, right? Is it just a list on a piece of paper? Is it a quick video about that list or whatever? And then create a mutual experience. Create, you know, bring in those people, whether they're your ideal client or just somebody that might be interested in the topic. Share your ideas and then ask them for either A, what are their aha moments? That means the things that they really connected with, or B, a clarifying question. What are they still unclear? So that allows you to grow that project. So yeah, that has been the biggest thing. It's like, get it to the 50%, connect it to the audience, allow them to bring in the 50%, and the overall experience and result will be exponential to the project, whether it's real estate, whether it's business, or whether it's even parenting. Like I remember we had a mini mastermind around homeschooling, right? Where Max had some questions and we had, you know, people that knew about that already, that have gone through the path, and they just said, here's all the potholes, here's what you want to watch out, and here's what you might want to see. So I just wanted to share that. Michael?
Man, I'm having some wins right now. I love that minimum viable product, which I coined MVP. So we always do it with letters here. When you said self-full, and a lot of people, myself included, feel that when we do things for ourselves and we're so used to doing things for others, and Shanine said, especially women, I've seen it, that the nurturers, God chose women to allow all human beings come through women, and they take care of their babies and they nurture and they sacrifice. And many times, I know things have changed in society nowadays. The woman will give up her dreams, her career, to be that wife, to be that mother. And then, you know, husbands grow up, they die, they move on to different women or other things. And children grow up and the woman is left saying, I gave. What about me? And so to be self-full, I love the way you said that. The dot, the bullseye, always protect the dot, love the dot, take care of the dot. And then you're able to deal with that next ring, which is usually your close family, then your best friends, your associates. But when you're always scattered, hanging all the different rings and helping people, and I need this. I was talking to somebody this morning. In fact, it was Mo. Muhammad said that, as we look back over the last few days or weeks, a lot of times the problems that we have, the challenges we have are not for us, they're for those rings. So we kind of can get lost. And I really concur to what Shanine said. Women typically have that nurturing mentality, that emotional give. And then they look up and say, well, wait a minute, what about me? So it's not being selfish. And I love that. To me, selfful, and I got this today, when you're selfful, you're full. Now your cup overflows and you're able to give more. And that just, the rest of my day, you guys have no idea. The freedom that I feel lighter knowing that. And by the way, the lesson, we learn from each other. That's why I love books. I have a passion about books and the movies we have. I'm just so into them. But that book, Shanine, you ask about, Get Her Done, he changed my life. Alexi's my little brother, even though he's probably bigger than me. I'm just saying, I'm short. He actually said, Michael, many times I was at a block, that brick wall that Joyce spoke of. I mean, literally, fetal position at night, can't sleep, worried, having physical stress about this thing that's got to get done. How do I do it? And he says, Mike, just get her done. Because Alexa, I think you'll agree, you can make it better when it's in your head, and that's that perfectionist. I know what it is. I see it. I want to make it better in my head, but if you're making it better in your head, you don't get it done. It can never. Sometimes it doesn't come out. It takes too long. Case in point, GPA. That idea hit me 40-something years ago. Now, granted, this is a little different. It took time to nurture, to change, to grow. But it ended up being, my life is full of the best who's in the world, because homeboy cannot do most of the things that need to be done, overwhelmed. And so just get it done. And we're in the midst of doing that right now as a community. We're getting it done. And once it's done, we can always make it better. But a lot of people, that perfectionist thing, a lot of times behind that a perfectionist thing is fear. We have a fear of getting it done. It won't be right. People will think this. I think Les Brown's teacher said it best, Mr. Washington. Never let the opinion of somebody else be your reality. And when you're thinking about what people's future opinion, you haven't even done it yet. And I'm guilty of that. And I want to thank you for helping me to get through it, because now I'm all about getting it done. Just get it done. We can always make it better. So thank you for that. Miss Joy, your hand was up.
Yeah, no, go ahead, keep flowing.
No, I'm done with that one. The other thing the procrastination. I mean, most people feel that procrastination, and I've always felt this. I've been writing this best-selling book on how to stop procrastinating for the last 40 years. I just never get around to finishing it. But procrastination on a big project many times means that you're not going to do, you're having, in fact, me and my daughter went through this. You want to do something, it's maybe an important step toward a project, and something's stopping you, and you feel it's procrastination. You tend to beat yourself up, when in reality, it's not about how you're going to do it, it's who you can get to do it. And many times, as you need the who, that person, they're looking for you. They need to be able to express their talents, their skill, their life. So when two who's find each other, it's a beautiful thing, because then you have that law, that give and take. And so I think some of the best who's, as we talked about Alma's daughter and her husband, those who's found each other, I mean, different countries, the odds of them meeting is like the lottery, but they met. And because she had grown to a point to where her vibration of love, of forgiveness, of self-expression, she brought the perfect person, the perfect husband, the perfect mate, that soulmate into her life. And the joy that they have together, people in love when they sit next to each other, and one of them just doing this to the other person, just stroking them. And if the person even thinks of something, the other person knows it and says, oh, you need this. And how'd you know? Because there's that oneness. And that oneness doesn't come when we have all these negatives, all these preconceived crap in our unconscious mind. That's what we're here about. It's not that we're bad or good. It's not about judgment. It's about all of us are a work in progress. And if you do the work, you'll start to have some self-realization, like I'm having right now. I have been a professional procrastinator, but I'm not beating myself up for it. When Who Not How let me know that all procrastination is not bad, then it meant that I'm not bad. It's like when you raise children, you say, I love you. I love you. Now let's talk about your action, but we don't say, I don't like you or I hate you, the child, because these things go into the unconscious mind and they dwell, they grow. So anyway, thank all of you. You guys, this synergy of learning, it just opens up. My win right now is right now. This moment right now is my win. Mr. Alexi, and then we got Julie from Albuquerque, New Mexico on the road. Yes, Mr. Alexi. And thank you for getting
You know, Mr. Michael, speaking of procrastination, right? One of the greatest elements that I have brought into my life, one is awareness, two is commitment. And the reason why I say that, a lot of times, part of the reason why I haven't done the things that I haven't done, I wasn't clear enough about that minimal viable action. And here's my invitation to everybody on this call, whether you're here live or if you're watching the replay. Do you know your minimum viable action? Whenever you get a little bit of extra time, whenever you have whatever, like, do you know what that one thing, if you just do just 5 more extra minutes of it, will exponentially change your life? Maybe it's calling a friend, maybe it's reading a book. I don't know what it is for you, but I just want to ask you, do you know what that action is? Because when you do, when you have clarity about your dreams and your goals, that helps you one way. But then what is that minimum viable action that will create that momentum and then intensify? For me, it's the miracle morning and consuming content the first thing, even before I take my phone and start dealing with the world. I feed my mind, I feed my body first, and that is my minimum viable action. I just want you to think about it. And next time, whenever you feel not encouraged or like procrastination moving in, you'll know that one thing, it's like, okay, you know what? I can watch a 5-minute video, or I can read one, page of this, or maybe it's, I'm going to take, 5 minutes in my personal spa, which is your bathroom, right? What is that one thing that you can do that will make things better? And as long as you do that consistently every day, that's the commitment part. Please trust me. If you just do that one small thing in 7 days, you'll be amazed how different your life is. And in 30 days, you might not even recognize it. I just wanted to share that.
My brother, thank you. And you just reminded me of a video that's 7 minutes and 32 seconds. You've heard me, I know it word for word. When I get done with it, I feel like Godzilla's son. I can walk through walls because I memorize it, not just the words, but the emotion, the feeling with E.T. and Les Brown. So I'm going to listen to that after the call while I'm driving. When I first get in my car, do what Joy taught me. And Joy told Mohammed this morning, are you meditating? Are you guys stopping and looking and listening to your heart? So when I get in my car now, Joy, every time I sit there, I don't just hop in and start it up like I'm in a race. I sit down, put the air conditioner on because it is hot. And I just sit there and let it cool off, and I close my eyes. And when I take off, there's more calm. I'm even driving the speed limit. Thank you, Joy, because I used to Ticketron. Now, my sister down there in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Julie, bless us. And then Joy. Unmute yourself, sweetie. Unmute yourself, Julie. There you go.
Grand Rising. I'm sorry I was late to the call today. Just blessings. I got to listen to just about half of the call that I missed last week. I got it late last night. Amazing call. But just feeling so grateful. And I saw, for the call today, we were talking about wins. And so I just want to talk briefly about the win. Just backing up what Alexi was just speaking of, it's the reframe, right? Procrastination, I'm tired, I don't know which way to go, blah, 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 all that is a reframe for me. Take that verbiage. I don't use the word TIRED anymore. and I just reframe whatever's going on that phrase. You know, I can't becomes I can. I'm strong. I can be led. I'm an inspired learner. Yes, I can be diligent. I brush my teeth every day. So it can happen. And it's the reframe. It's a choice. Procrastination, all that is a reframe. And it's really just choose well. And I try to choose well for those that have gone on before me that don't get the opportunity to choose now. That's a big strength for me. I'm so blessed by the Global Prosperity Academy, and I've just learned so much. And what's interesting is what Michael Maxwell was talking about, the overflow. And I'm beginning to see that now from the confidence that has been emerging because of the work that I've done and continue to do with Michael and Alexi and Joy and Alma, all the participants that we have here that pour in, and I start to see it come out. So in the neighborhood where the kombuchery is on US Route 66, there's an art walk, right? And it ends, of course, 1 block before our kombuchery. I'm, of course, putting in a petition to extend it, but we'll get back to that later. Art walk goes on usually like the first Friday of the month, but they move it around if there's a holiday. So at the last minute, we decided to parlay with the art walk that's going on in the neighborhood and say, well, we're going to have a brick alley block party at the kombuchery. We opened up that side patio area and we brought in a couple of musicians that played guitar. We had a couple of vendors. And just really tried to bump it out on the social media. And it went so well. It was last night. So it was a total win. It's definitely sold more kombucha at that event than I ever had on a single day. Also had many more new people come in who'd never come in before because I'd put in the sign on the sandwich board in front of the kombuchery that said we're having a party tonight at 5:30, and so I want to share that. Talking about that part of the perfectionistic thing, because for me, I don't know, what comes to mind is that throw it on the wall and see what sticks. You know, kind of that you have an idea, okay, we could have a party. What do we need? I don't know. Just tell them we're having a party. You know, just tell them we're having a party and it's going to come together as needed. I know for me that strength comes more readily, but it is just trusting in the love flow. If you're in the right flow, if you're in the right jurisdiction, right? As a servant leader, which is what we are. And last night at that party, I got to speak directly to people that need to hear our message. And, you know, invited them to the call today, which they already had plans, but I said, no, the call doesn't change. So here's the call, you know, message. You can come any Saturday. And one of the kids that I sponsor, he wears my logo on his shirt and he's a runner. He's a very good runner in the state of New Mexico. He always wins. And he was in the shop yesterday coming to get his booch. And I said, well, do you need any water? He goes, no water. I said, what? Are you running a race tomorrow? And he says, yes. And I said, I think you need a glass of Kangen water. What are you thinking? Well, I'm kind of tired. And I said, oh boy, do you need more than water? And that's when I told him, let's reframe that. Let's reframe it. You're strong. No, you didn't have the proper rest for this race because your big race is in 3 weeks. But take that TIRED word out of your language. You are building strength. You are strong. And as I was giving my dissertation from the bar to that kid, 2 other people were listening and they were just like, wow, I really like what you said about the reframing. So I think I mentioned that not to be unhumble, but just to say those little drops send out rings. So stay the course. Thank you.
No, thank you. She lives it. She lives it. Miss Joy, we're going to close out with you because of time, and then we'll have our after hours. Go ahead, Joy. Thank you so much, Julie.
Yeah, hi Julie. Hi. Good to see you. But yeah, I just wanted to jump in and just kind of summarize I was going to do it for myself, but I'm going to do it for everyone because I learned so much from everybody here every Saturday, right? And what was important and what stood out the most for me this week, or today, was self-care. You know, putting ourselves first and not being selfless, but self-full, you know, so that you can help other people. And you know, Julie, what you just said is something that I speak about all the time, how powerful words are, reframing your language, you know, because we are electromagnetic, like I was saying, and what you put out, you will get, you know. So it's very important to use the right words to speak about yourself and others. And when it came to Alexi speaking about the minimum viable actions, is to do something every day. Just do something, you know, that you might not think might be the biggest thing on your list, but to just do something that's going to bring value to your goals. And early on, Alexi was speaking to me about, you know, Gain a New Life and New Paradigm Network and how we were going to use these to attract people to, for us, would be to discover your greatness, and now to where you see yourself on the other side of what we are living through. And what he was saying was, you know, you have to create content. And he gave me a huge number for me, but what it all boiled down to was doing something every day. And so it took me a while to even get to that point because of my own limiting beliefs, because the concept of just do it meant that I'm going to do something else and not that, you know. So finally getting around to doing it, and realizing that if I want something bad enough, I just have to commit. And that was one of the other words that that came out today, was committing and making that commitment, and just saying no to procrastination. My phone's going to die. And so I'm going to speak very quickly about it. But I do want to say thank you, Alexi, for the structure that you gave me to begin doing that. And I did start, and I'm getting wonderful, positive results. And this is the doorway to GPA. That's what this is for. And I know we got it done. You know, we're getting it done, and I know we're going to get it better. You know, but at least I have the interest. Not only that, I have a way now, just from following the flow and not going against the flow. I created a little side business where people who have humanitarian projects are coming to me to create their presentations. And so the form that I had to fill out, create, and I had Shawneen look at it for punctuations and stuff. And so I got really positive feedback about that. But now I'm putting it into the public to fill it out, because you have ideas and things are resonating in your heart that maybe you've always wanted to do, but you've just not had a chance to do it because of the you know, situation of 40 hours a week and, you know, slavery mentality. Now we're getting ready to have opportunity to be free flowing entrepreneurs. What have you always wanted to do that you never had a chance to do? They've been filling out that form like crazy. So this now becomes the pathway to GPA, so that we can get you on the path to being a servant leader through your own entrepreneurship dreams and aspirations. So this is working out. I've also figured out how to not talk at people, but talk to them and resonate with people where they are. Such a beautiful thing. The script that we have for GPA and for people is just amazing to get through these little talking less, I should say. So it's just it's a beautiful situation, and it's all coming to fruition because of what we've been learning every single week. We have diligently been on this call every Saturday for 2 years straight. That is to be applauded, each and every one of us. So I look forward to 2 years more. Bye.
Thank you. And on that note, it has been the hour of power. Thank you guys so much. You're all winners. And each day you have the opportunity to get a little bit better so that you can be that light for others. Next week, same place, same time. Unmute yourselves. And
Thank you.
today is a
See
beautiful
you
day.
next week, guys.
I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you in the
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Miss Alfie, you have a huge win. You're in the middle of it. She moving on up.
Yes,
you
I
guys.
gotta get back to it.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Julie, Alma, Alexi, Max, Randy, Miss
Bye,
Carol,
everyone.
Grace, all of you. Love you guys. See you next week.